Hey guys, how's it going? This is Eric, and I just wanted to talk to you about WIDS, Wireless Intrusion Detection System. So there was a issue that I came across for an employer, and there was a WIDS system, but it was outdated, unsupported, so we couldn't really do much with it. And we're like, how do we get this system usable again without having to spend any money? So what we were able to do was flash OpenWRT on those routers, which is open source. And then we found a program called Kismet. We're like, this sounds perfect. This can do exactly what we need to sniff and detect wireless signals on our network. But we could not get it to load, and documentation was sparse. It was very piecemeal. It was hard to figure out how to get this to load properly on the device. So my goal today is to teach you that process we went through and eventually figured out, where you essentially have to compile Kismet on a Linux box in the proper format for OpenWRT so that you can then load it on that router successfully. So without further ado, I'm going to jump into the video.
All right, first I'm going to run sudo apt-get update. Let's type that right. There we go. Skip ahead here since this will take a minute. All right, so now that I've run update, I'm going to also install some additional packages that are needed to compile this. Yes. And we'll wait on that to finish. This list will also be in my GitHub README so that you'll have a copy of all these commands you need to run and you can just copy paste them. All right, now that I've pulled down all the packages and dependencies I need to compile this, I'm going to, well, what I already did was create a folder called Kismet. I did, make directory Kismet under my root. And what I'm going to do is go under that directory now. It's just an empty directory, but this will be where I pull down all of my Kismet and OpenWRT files so that I can compile. I just want to keep them all in one place, make it easy for myself. So they're both on GitHub. I'm going to pull down the Kismet one first. This one's pretty quick. And we're done. We have all the Kismet files we need. So now we're going to do the same with the OpenWRT. Now this one does take a little bit longer, a few minutes. So what I'll do is pause the video now. Fully pulled down both the Kismet and OpenWRT files that I need from GitHub. And what I'm going to do now is I have to copy the Kismet package I'm using here, which is the Capture Linux Wi-Fi tool, and move it into the OpenWRT directory underneath this folder. So as you can see, it pulled down Kismet packages and OpenWRT. So from Kismet packages, I'm going to copy the tool I need. All right, so I'm going to copy the Kismet Capture Linux Wi-Fi. It's going to go under OpenWRT folder, under package and network. All right, done. So what I'm also going to do is there's another file in there called kismet.make or kismet.mk specifically, but I'm going to also move that file over here because that file is needed when you're actually compiling the package. You also need this file. It's referenced that, and we're done. Now I'm going to navigate over where I put these files. So there. All right. And as you can see, I have my Kismet.mk in my Kismet Capture Linux Wi-Fi folder. So that's how you want to have things. What I'm going to do next is use a tool called Nautilus. So I will say here that I'm a network guy. I'm not a Linux guy, so I know there's probably a quicker, better way to do this, but for myself, this is just the easiest way. I don't know Linux like I know a lot of folks, so if you see something or see a better way of doing this process, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your feedback. So where I'm going now is my Kismet folder, OpenWRT, where I just put that stuff. And let's see, package network. So as you can see, once again, the kismet.mk file needs to be here as well as this folder. So all that's in here is a make file, but what you're going to want to do, had a ton of issues with this. If you try and just, compile like this, it's going to error out. I've had it error out for me because it was asking for a version. So what I found somebody else that made a custom file that had a version in it. And so I was like, oh, it's probably just looking for something. It doesn't seem to really care what that version is. So you need to put it in here. I'm just going to pick the number 8 because I like that number. Choose whatever works for you. Then release. Oops. Equals 1. I saw that in a custom file somebody else had made as well that I couldn't get working, but what I was able to get out of that was that I need to have a version in there at least, and they also had a release, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in there as well just in case. Control S to save it, close it, and so I use Nautilus for that. I know you can use VI or Nano as well to edit the files, but that's what I did. And I went back a couple folders, and now I'm at the base of the OpenWRT folder. And from there, I'm going to run a command called make menu config. And this is essentially going to be how I prepare my environment to then compile and create the package I like. A minute as well. When it's done, you're going to be here at this page. And the first thing you're going to want to do is go to, well, actually, the first thing you're going to want to do is ensure your target system and your sub-target matches the type of firmware you're using with OpenWRT. So you'll see when you go to the firmware selector for OpenWRT and download the firmware for your router, it'll tell you exactly what target system and sub-target it's using. So for me, it's going to be the defaults of ATH79 and generic. And I know a lot of routers use that. So the package I put on my GitHub, if you're using the same target system and sub-target, you're good to go. You should be able to use that package. If not, you're going to want to go under here and, set the specific target system you're using. Like I said, it'll mention this on the firmware selection tool. It'll tell you the exact target. So if I put a Linksys, whatever that model number is, it'll tell me. So I'm going to get back out of here. I guess it helps if I know how to get back out of here, huh? No, I don't want to save my configuration. But I'll go back in. But just wanted to show you that real quick. There we go. All right, that was pretty quick. Same here for sub-target. but I don't need to mess with anything there. So I'm going to go to the next step, which is image configuration, separate feed repositories. So this is already selected here, so we're good to go. Um, but then we want to go underneath, and where it says enable feed packages, you're going to hit the space bar twice. You want to get the star on it to select it. Then we're going to exit all the way out. And when it says to save, you're going to click yes. So that's the first step. And what we want to do is update OpenWRT to pull the latest feeds and updates for this system. So we're going to run the following commands. First one is going to be this one to update. I'll go ahead and skip ahead until this one's done. All right, that's done. The next command you're going to want to run is from update to then install. This one also takes a few minutes, so I'm going to pause the video again. All right, so we're done with the update and install of the feeds for OpenWRT. So we're going to run make menu config again. Load that. It's going to start loading all of these feeds that we just pulled down for OpenWRT and all these different packages. All right, so we're back under the make menu config, and what we're going to do now this time is we're going to go down to network, and you're going to want to scroll down a little ways, but you should now see Kismet under here. So this got pulled down once we moved it under the correct folder and ran the feeds update to bring it into here so that we can then configure it to be compiled. So you're going to go under here and you're going to select it with, you can either hit the space bar or the M key, but you want to set it with the M option to modularize the features. And at that point, we're going to exit out of here. Go all the way out and make sure once again to save this configuration. All right, so at this point we are ready to compile. This is exciting. A little bit of work, some waiting for some of these processes to complete, but now we compile. So I'll repeat it again, not a Linux guy, but I know it's not best practice to run this as root. I know there's other ways to do it, but for me, I didn't get into all that. I'm going to run it as root. So because of that, if you run it as root, it will not work for you unless you put this command in, because it is deemed unsafe. Because you can cause some damage to your system, but in my case, this is just a VM I stood up from fresh. If it screws up, not a big deal for me. There's nothing on here that's important. So what you do is type in force unsafe configure equals 1. All right, and then from this, from the OpenWRT folder, I'm going to run the make. You could just type make, but I'm going to run it with some switches just so that I can see what's going on and get some verbose output. This is what really helped me determine what was going wrong when I had some of these issues. So at that point, we're going to run, and this can take quite a while. So it can take, it really depends on the compute power of the machine you're running this from. In my case, it took a few hours. It's pretty late for me, so I'll probably just go to bed and wake up and it should be done. One thing you want to keep in mind if you are walking away for a while, make sure your power settings are updated. So that way, you don't lose internet connectivity, the machine doesn't go to sleep. That's happened to me where my Windows machine went to sleep and it was trying to pull
updates from the internet and it crapped out on me. So just keep that constant connection open, and I will pull the video back up when this is. All right, the make process has finished. We're done compiling. I don't see anything that looks like an error. So let's go confirm that we have our package. All right, so I forgot where the file was. I had to make sure I got the location right. So where it's going to be is actually under your OpenWRT folder under bin, packages, then the target, depending on what type of firmware you have. For me, it's MIPS 24KC, and then the base packages is where you'll actually find the Kismet Capture Linux Wi-Fi package. And so that's it. It's created. What you'll do at that point is transfer that file over to your router and install it, and you'll be good to go. So that's it. If you have any issues compiling, I recommend you look through the verbose output to see where it may be failing. Where I had issues was the version number. I was missing a package that was needed to compile, so that's part of those dependencies. I was also missing that needed kismet.mk file that you have to add in. At that point on the router, you'll also want to update your package files there as well. That will install other necessary dependencies. I believe it's the update list command. And then what you'll do is you'll take this Kismet Wi-Fi Linux Capture.ipk file, copy it over to your router. In my case, I just use WinSCP, and then install it from the command line. What this tool will then do is send a stream to your Kismet server from this device based on what interface you source the data from. So we were just sourcing it from one of our wireless LAN interfaces. You can do multiple interfaces to capture multiple signals, 2.5 and 5 gigahertz wireless, for example, to see what's showing up on your network. You can also do other things like Bluetooth. There's a package for that, but that's not covered in this video, so this was just the wireless. But there is a Bluetooth capture Wi-Fi package as well on GitHub. So in the description of this video, I'll also make sure and put some important links like to my GitHub where I'll have a README on this, as well as my .ipk file if you already are on the same platform. That'll be easy for you. I'll also link the sources I used. Although most of them were outdated or piecemeal, it was helpful getting me to this end state. What this video is not going to cover, though, is how to start this capture on your device, as well as how to set up a Kismet server. But I did find documentation to be pretty good on both of those. So I'll link that in the description as well. Anyways, I hope you found this video helpful, and if you'd like to see me cover or clarify anything else related to this, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.